We're all set. All right, and Sal has either joined us or is on the phone as well. Call to order of the board under open meeting laws, consistent with chapter, I can't read this tightly, 167 or 107 of the Acts of 2022. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to allow the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time and participate when necessary. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or device, there is a raised hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications to be recognized to speak. So with that, let's call the meeting to order and recognize that Taylor Hedges, Tom Balfe, and Patty Nags are in attendance, so we do not have a quorum. I don't know if anybody had any comments on the meeting minutes. We can't approve them, but if anybody noticed any corrections or clarifications, please speak up.
It looked good to me.
Okay, thanks. So let's get to the business, old business, organizational issues. So the bottom line is we still have one board member that we can add. I mean, obviously it's the decision and the discretion of the mayor, but we can certainly make a recommendation as to what either an individual or what sort of area of expertise we could benefit from. And so that's the reason that I raise it. And truthfully, I didn't, on one of the budget items is sort of draft budget and plan for 2023. But I certainly think, you know, the bulleted list here, Blackburn Industrial Park, a feasibility study of Condolin Road, energy capacity study, CADA sponsorship, and maybe if we added the harbor, you know, are likely to be the projects or initiatives that we'll be focusing on. Nothing comes quickly, so in the next really couple of years. So the question is, though, you know, based on the board makeup, I think we're in compliance with the requirements to have somebody with planning, I mean, it's a little bit fudged, but you know, with planning experience and business experience and government experience, and I forget what the term was, whether it was affordability or sort of social justice, right? That Jerry meets that criteria. So the question to Patty and Taylor is, either are there any individuals that you think could add value to this board, or is there a discipline or skill area that you think we could really benefit from?
I think if we have space, it'd be good. I mean, if we could try to add Chris McCarthy, he backed away just because they wanted like his whole CV and everything. And he was just like, I really can't, I'm not applying for a volunteer job. So if they can get around that, I think he'd be pretty, he's also, he's good with the development. He's good with creative development stuff. So I think he would be a pretty good asset if we're going to do this stuff on Condolin Road. I think he'd be important over there. So I know we talked to Ken Heck and he wasn't interested. I don't really know who else would be good in that field. So just a thought.
Yeah. Patty? Any, I mean, you're new to the board, so I recognize that not a lot of experience here yet, but.
The only thought I had is if you go in the harbor direction. Somebody who is familiar with harbor business. Not that I have a name on the tip of my tongue, but
Right. We've kind of had Tom for that, but Tom, do you think there's anyone else who would be like, because you're, I mean, I guess I don't know your exact specialty, but I mean, you're not doing the development on the harbor. You're more of the environmental side of things, right? On how to.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's a good. I mean, I understand how the harbor works and port issues, and actually know the fishing industry really well. I mean, but you know, I'm not a business owner. I'm not a developer. So, you know, and I suspect that even Chris McCarthy's skills would apply, or somebody like him would apply well, where you're creatively looking at how to make something, how to make building or construction happen.
Right.
So I think that might be the calling.
Okay.
So
Well, we can wait till we could wait till maybe the next meeting, but maybe let's bring it up and see if there's any other names, and then I could reach back out to Chris, because I mean, I don't know, Patty, when you joined the board, did you have a resume that you sent to the mayor and all that stuff, or was just a letter of, I think I just sent a letter of interest, and then they said, okay. And we recommend,
somebody in my office asked me if I'd be interested in it.
Right.
And yeah, and I think I sent a resume to
okay,
the mayor or to
Right.
Jill.
Jill, okay. Well,
Right.
I'll circle back, and I could check in with Jill and say, how much do you really need from Chris McCarthy? You know, his reputation, like he knows what's going on.
My sense is that it doesn't, and I can't remember who else, but you know, sort of a paragraph. You know, I've been a builder for 30 years. I've served on this board or commission. I live here. You know, just it really doesn't need to be a resume. It's just give us some facts about who you are and what skills you might bring to the table. So
Okay.
that's my sense. The other person, and I don't know that. It was a while ago that I had the conversation with him, that but is Sam Cleaves, who's actually, he was a planner, before Greg Catamatori, which is way back when, and then he worked for MAPC, Mass Area Planning Council, for a long time. So, and I don't know that he's necessarily interested or not, but a planning person with that expertise is somebody else that we could add to the mix.
That could help, because we're going to need to find some money, and obviously Sal can help us, but if we do the Connellan Road expansion, we're going to need someone to navigate how to find that government money to start that, because I think privately funded, it's not, and we're going to learn more from the Weston Sampson thing, but I don't know that it's a big nut, so we're going to have to come at it from a big economic development standpoint, and that it's important. So it's something that the city, state should get behind,
Right.
But I don't think from a privately funded aspect, it's really doable.
Yep, agreed. Okay, next on the list is signage in Blackburn Industrial Park, and I saw the emails and stuff that went around. Taylor, thank you. I guess the bottom line is where are we at and what can we do to help?
We're there. Both signs are being started. Had a quick meeting, and I have to thank Sal. I don't know if he's listening or just on, but
I'm on.
Okay,
I'm joining by
thank you very
phone.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, so
No problem. Thank you.
I mean, it happened really quick, Tom, and I can give you more backstory another time, but it happened really quick. And then the brakes were put on really quick when John McNiff was like, hey, who did the permits and who did this and who did that? And we're like, well, we talked to Bill a while ago, and I don't know if any of that was finalized and established. And then the brakes were put on quickly, and then Sal helped plead our case that, hey, this isn't you know, because Bill came back with some, hey, you know, there's limitations and this and that, and Sal helped navigate that and kind of get pushed through, just said, hey, that we're replacing existing signs. This is for multiple companies. So a lot of these zoning issues aren't applicable. Helped us navigate which zoning rules were applicable and got it pushed through. So the application for the permits in and should be coming any day. And I just need to, I have a couple of a little more interest. We forgot about the schools. We're up there, the admin building, the preschool, and Jerry Frisch and Ben Lummis said they were interested. So that'll be one more person. I just have to get final sign off on everyone else. Waiting to circle back with, I want to get Lauren a list of each person and then put one more, a final mock-up of how it's going to look, each person, where they're going to be, the street names, where they're going to be, the color scheme, everything as it's going to be. And then people can, before we get all the last signage made. But I think we're there.
Great.
Could I interject real
Yeah.
quickly?
Yeah.
Thanks, Taylor. No, thanks for everybody's hard work on this. When I had an opportunity to sit down with Dave Fields and Bill Sanborn, we had a really good meeting. And I think once we broke it down, each of those panels, they were less than what the sign ordinance, less than the max as per the sign ordinance. So once we talked that through, it was fine. Bill was really supportive. He's also not charging sign permit fee because it's the EDIC. So that went really well. The only slight comment that was asked kind of in the meeting was if we're going with that kind of black and white scheme, or would blue be more appropriate or whatever. And
I asked all the companies
designer.
up there. Yeah, I asked
Yep.
every company up there. Trust me, Lauren, the graphic designer that did it, she wanted colors and she wanted it more interesting. And every company, every business that's paying for it just wants neutral because they don't want it to align with, obviously Happy Valley wants some red, Common wants some
Sure.
other colors, and they all want a color of their own. But we gave them a lot of options. At least probably 4 to 5 different color schemes. They're all like, let's just go neutral.
Sure.
It is what it is, but
Okay.
then we're not stepping on anyone's toes. Trust
Okay,
me.
that's fine.
We tried colors.
That's
So.
fine.
Okay.
So Taylor, has actually Dig Safe has been up there, and or the basic foundation is starting to be worked on, or we're just waiting for that?
Yeah.
final permit?
Dig Safe's been there, and I think the sign people have dug at least a hole.
Yeah.
So.
Well, great. Well, thank you for all your hard work in the trenches.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge. I'll have to thank Carl for this task.
All right. The next couple of things I think will go relatively quickly. The energy capacity study of Gloucester Blackburn. If you recall, I talked about it last meeting. So we met with a company called Daymark. They have provided us with a proposal to look at, essentially do a gap analysis tied to Blackburn Industrial Park. And that is that both J. McNiff and Applied Materials, who were both the largest energy users up there, have concerns about growth and expansion capacity and power, as well as the quality of the power, voltage spikes, and reliability. And so the belief is that rather than each individual company, whether it's in Blackburn Industrial Park or even more largely speaking throughout Gloucester, is that the EDIC and or the city can play a role in ultimately developing and executing a strategy to keep National Grid focused on meeting the energy needs of industrial and to some degree residential customers in Gloucester and really Cape Ann with better quality energy and sufficient energy. So where we would start is this firm would do a energy capacity, sort of what's being used right now up in Blackburn Industrial Park, based on some public records and access that they have to some data, and then do some level of a gap analysis, but sort of qualitative, not necessarily quantitative or computer modeling, based on what, you know, what our capacity needs could be or will be going down the line, and what does that gap look like? Are we at 95% of energy capacity already, or are we at 90? And what might happen if there are large scale solar projects or other changes in the energy world that could impact the capacity. So that proposal is for $12,000 to do this first phase sort of gap analysis. They would deliver either a presentation or a report, depending on what we would like. And then part of that would be sort of a strategy, or at least the outline of a strategy tailored to Blackburn and or Gloucester about what we need to be doing. This would ultimately be a multi-year campaign and strategy to ensure that the energy needs of the businesses in Gloucester are met. I had a good meeting with them the other day. They are going to be revising the proposal slightly to make it more clear what the deliverables are and what the phasing would be, short-term, long-term goals. And part of that is for our benefit, and part of that is because I would like Applied Materials and McNiff Company to contribute something. If this is $12,000, what I'd like is for the EDIC to pay for 50% of the study and ask Applied Materials and McNiff companies to pay 25% each. So I'm waiting to hear back from them. Want to make sure that I build the value case for both of them. Jay is in the process of working with National Grid to look at the possibility of adding a significant solar array on the roofs of his buildings. And that is a significant investment on his part, just to do the study, to look at the pros and cons and the ultimate costs associated with interconnecting. So what I would like to do is in the next week, I should get a new proposal back. I'll reach out to Jay and Doc at Applied Materials to find out whether they would be willing to contribute towards this assessment, and then bring it to the board, where hopefully we'll have a quorum at the October meeting to move forward on this. I think it's going to ultimately be a really important issue for the city. And given that we don't have a huge, there's a lot on Sal's plate and the community development's plate, I think that this is a good strategic role for the EDIC to play in terms of a multi-year project that's designed to make sure that any business that wants to grow, expand, or newly construct in Gloucester will have the energy in order to do it. But I do think that it will be important to get the business community and the major energy users on board on such an initiative, because really the power, no pun intended again, to get National Grid to listen will come more from those power users than it will from the EDIC or even the city to some degree. So stay tuned. That's where we're at, and I'll have a formal proposal in front of the board in October. The next item, the CADA on demand report. I know White Mike has been working on this, but can't report on it. So Lee, I haven't, unless you're aware of something, I'm not aware of any new information to report.
Mike did not pass anything along to report.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think there's still, the process of Felicia Webb leaving and a new person coming on board. I think that there's a little less communication right now than there was in the past.
Right. Okay.
The only other item, and again, and I think it's part of, but there's nothing really to report on the Municipal Harbor Plan Committee that I participate on. There was a good public meeting. I had promised you guys I'd send you the link. It wasn't ready, and then I totally forgot to send you the link. So Taylor or Patty, did you happen to participate, listen in? It was a good public meeting. It validated the focus of the Municipal Harbor Plan on economic development rather than sort of regulatory changes or other sort of zoning issues. It was really more of, it was getting community feedback on the fact that the plan is likely to have a number of objectives associated with supporting and expanding the fishing industry and other maritime businesses. So I think from my perspective, it was important and good to hear that the community was generally quite supportive of that. The other part of the meeting, I think that was good, and it coincided with this sort of campaign, but we talked about I4C2 and some of the regulatory barriers to development, given its location within the boundaries of the DPA, given the size and the elevation of the property, etc. So the consultants did a nice job of just sort of explaining what development might or could look like in conformance with the zoning, the state and local zoning regulations. And then there was some conversation around, what might happen there. And there's a variety of opinions, but it does come with the campaign to build what's now being called Pier 58, this stage performance center / community center. And so didn't go into that in any detail as part of the public meeting, but just talked about I4C2 generally and what could or couldn't happen there. I will share that, and I'm one member of the committee. I mean, I would like an objective in this municipal harbor plan to do some assessment of the structural integrity of the site, soil, and what could be built there, and what needs to be done for site prep work to build something on what's a sort of an already unstable surface and certainly likely to be flooded in the years to come. And then the possibility of almost pre-permitting, or at least getting as close as we could to pre-permitting something that would be in compliance with the DPA regulations. And so we have something to work from beyond just concepts that either are, may not make business sense or may not be in compliance with the zoning regulations. So that's going to be sort of, as a one committee member, one voice, my advocacy would be as part of the municipal harbor plan to try to go down that road as far as we can, over the next 5 years, and pre-permit to the extent we can. Obviously,
Tom, is that something that is like in the budget for that municipal harbor plan? Was there a budget for something like that? Or would it be...
there's no budget for the execution of anything. No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So that'd be city or us or someone to get to work on that.
Correct. I would suspect that the city would need to go to get grant funding or get a lot of come from the Seaport Economic Council. Funds a lot of harbor projects throughout coastal communities in the Commonwealth, and try to get money from them to do that sort of feasibility work.
Right. Yeah, because that actual parking lot's almost below or at sea level or something already. I mean, it's all, it would have to be up on stilts and there would
Well,
be,
it's in a flood zone.
right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's conceivable it would be allowed that that could be, sort of parking underneath,
Right.
and that the
Yeah.
parking could be down there as something that's temporary and wouldn't be necessarily damaged or damaged severely by a storm.
Right.
But even then, there would have to be structural issues addressed
Yeah.
just to have parking. And the parking
Right.
that's allowed right now, as you probably know, but is temporarily permitted. And so at some point, the state will say, no, that's, you can't do this forever. So,
Right. Right. Okay.
Hey, guys,
Um,
can I jump in here for a second?
Yeah. Sure.
Guys, we're looking into potential resources from mass development to potentially shore up that site, waiting for clarification on it. But if it does come through, it could be potential money to replace bulkhead, seawall, different things like that. So we're just waiting for clarification from mass development.
That's great. Thank you, Sal. Do you know whether it
Yeah.
could also, as part of that would be sort of a geotechnical assessment of the property beyond these sort of hard structures that are protecting it?
So I'm looking at a potential pot of money from them that will cover aspects of it. So I don't think it's 100% defined yet. It's more or less, can we get that money from them to do work on I-4C2? But that's waiting for a decision on that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I'll keep you posted.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure.
The next item, financial status, I unfortunately did not do. The intent is to sort of, I mean, we haven't really spent any money since our last meeting.
Right.
But the intent is to, have a financial report at each meeting, and then per the next item, what my intent was to do is to at least lay out, and I think especially for new members and get feedback, sort of here's what we're going to be working on, and here's, we might be spending $40,000 or $60,000 on, so that we all are in general agreement, what the annual expenses, could look like. And then in hopes of either trying to get some money or in terms of at least understanding, what we're drawing down. Since, Patty, you may or may not know this, but I mean, one of the challenges of this organization is, the good news is that we do have some money in the bank, roughly $600,000, but the bad news is there's no revenue coming in. So, we're essentially drawing down without anything replenishing it, essentially. So most EDICs often have some revenue stream, whether it's selling parcels or renting space or something. Not that they're necessarily profitable, but that help with cash flow and help with the overall financials. So that's my intent, but I lost steam when I realized that we weren't even going to have a quorum, and I'd like everybody to be in on that conversation. So that's sort of it for me. Patty, Taylor, anything that you've heard, or Sal, anything you want to share, or ideas that you think we should be thinking about or talking about at the next meeting? You're on mute.
Yeah. Hey, Sal, can you give us a quick update on that transit overlay?
I'm sorry, that the MBTA.
Yeah. Is there like,
Yeah, I
like where,
can't. I wouldn't.
okay,
I don't know. What I can do is just get an email update from Greg,
Okay.
and that would probably be better for everybody on the call to have it, up to date from him as our
Okay.
planning director.
All right.
I did want to add though quickly, if it's okay with you, Tom, to mention I have a contact from the Mass MEC who's willing to talk to our businesses about reducing their energy costs, both electric and natural gas, through kind of like a bulk purchasing. If that's something we're interested in, either having him talk to EDIC or something like that, or I could just, email you guys the information and we could just take it from there. But I think any kind of help with energy expenses would be welcome. And we can, go from there. But I think it's a really good program, and everybody knows the cost of energy is going up. I think nationwide, 18% is the number. So if there's anything that can help our businesses, it might be worth exploring.
Sure. You send an email introducing us. I would say the two things that come to mind for me, one is we've talked about, and I think that if we go forward with this Daymark proposal for the energy capacity issues, that provides a good foundation for a meeting of the Blackbird Industrial Park or Condon Road tenants to have
Sure.
another meeting. And at that, we could conceivably introduce or give some time to your connection
Sure.
at this energy conservation firm. And the other
Okay.
possibility is, and I'm sure you see Ken Reel regularly, is talk to the chamber and what I know there have been times when they've advocated, promoted various initiatives associated with energy conservation. So I don't know
Sure.
exactly how that works, but they certainly have strong membership.
Yeah, that sounds great. Will do.
All
That's it from me.
right.
All right.
Thanks, Sal.
Thanks.
Bye.
Patty, anything on affordability, housing that we're used to, getting hammered at every meeting about, zoning changes, or, Ruth was always, very focused about keeping housing and affordability front and center. You're welcome to play that role.
I wasn't aware of that whatsoever. I'm very interested in seeing the transit overlay and learning more about it. I think there's opportunity there.
Yeah.
Naturally, without it's just a good fit.
Yep.
What have you heard about it so far, Patty? I'm kind of completely in the dark. My neighbor brought something up about it. So I just want to get some real opinions versus neighbor chatter.
I only have access to Chatter, really, and the chatter I've seen is on one of those social media sites. I don't know, are you on that neighborhood site?
Nope.
And it's aligning exactly like the zoning issues of this spring aligned, which I think is really sad. And there's a lot of misinformation out there already.
Right.
And the other thing, I have to verify this, and somebody here might know, when the Community Preservation Act was initiated, not every community belonged to that. And it took a while for people to realize that these funds that were, I believe they were matched or a percentage were met, were very valuable. And I know Rockport signed on really early, and Gloucester took another 3 to 5 years, as I recall, something like that. And there's just an awful lot of short-sightedness out there. That needs to be addressed, I think. But I think we're all in the dark in a large degree.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll try to get, I mean, maybe we'll get with Greg and see if we can do that. So Lee or Tom, maybe just add that to the next agenda, just so we at least discuss it, because it's, I mean, it's not really, it's somewhat up our alley, but it's something we should at least be knowledgeable about, I think. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, because
It'll affect things.
yeah, I mean, truthfully, I mean, I think it is well intentioned, you know, to build density and housing around, you know, train stations and public transportation. But, you know, each community sort of varies. But I think it also, as part of that intention, offers opportunity for economic development in terms of people living in areas that, you know, where if you're increasing the density or addressing the density, you also have some new business opportunities associated with that density. So I think it's, you know, I don't have an opinion yet on it or know enough either, but I do think it's not just a housing issue. I think it melds with economic development and quality of life, you know, in and around, at least, you know, in a couple of places in Gloucester, but certainly downtown Gloucester. So, but we'll get that on the next agenda and make sure that we sort of come up to speed with being able to understand how it might work in Gloucester and the pros and cons of it.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else?
I'm good. Next meeting.
Next meeting, is it October 20th?
October 18th, or Tuesday? 18th.
October 18th.
Yep. Works for me.
Yeah, it should work for me. I may have a conflict, but I'll try to avoid that for sure. So I guess, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Patty, do you want to second it?
Seconded.
Excellent.
All right.
Well, motion is we are over and done with in a record time, I think.
Oh yeah.
So have a good evening, and
Thank you.
we'll see you next month.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.